So while they're sitting down, so it's Francisco Ortiz, Ed Phillip, Bill Hogg, and Jason Van Dyke. Welcome, guys, to the stage. So y'all will have 1 minute opening, and then most questions you have a 90-second answer. Some of them will be 30 seconds, and then a 1 minute closing.
Evening, everyone. Oops, it's pretty loud. My name is Francesca Ortiz. I am a native to Decatur. Graduated Decatur High School in 2004. And after that, I joined the service. I'm a Marine. Did my service, and then I came back. And after that, I did a couple years working at the Weiss County Surgical Office, and then a couple years at Corrections. And the last 10 years of my life, I've been doing, I was a state trooper. I decided to join, or not join. I made the decision to run for JQ1 just to be a better part of the community. Because of my prior jobs, I wasn't able to. And with this, an opportunity came up, and it was a big decision, and I chose to run for JQ1. And, well, this is all new to me, so thank you for your patience. And if you have anything, you can just ask me. I do have my business cards out there with my phone number. And that's all I got for y'all. Thank you, everybody.
My name's Edia. My wife and I moved here to Decatur about 5 years ago. We got tired of all the COVID lockdowns, so we ended up here in Decatur, and we couldn't be happier. We have 3 boys. We've been married for 20 years. And I decided to run for JP1 because I know this position requires somebody that is fair, somebody that has experience working with people during difficult situations. I know that this court can be people's first experience working with the justice system. And I don't know about you, but I remember getting my first ticket, and it wasn't fun, especially telling my mom about it. And yeah, I'm ready to work with respect, with integrity, and above all, I'll be impartial with everybody. Thank you.
My name is Bill Hogg. I'm a candidate for JP1. I've been a Texas peace officer for 37 years. I started with the North Richland Hills Police Department in 1987. In 1988, I was hired by the Texas Department of Public Safety. After graduating the academy, I was stationed in Decatur, and I patrolled Wise County for a little over 8 years. I had always wanted to learn to fly, and the department had 26 pilots and 13 aircraft stationed in 7 different cities. So I competed for the job, I got it. We moved to Midland for 15 months. After, I guess in November of 1998, Waco opened up, and so we transferred to Waco, and I spent my last 17 and a half years there. I retired in October of 2015. I immediately became the chief pilot for the Fort Worth Police Department, and I was there from 2015 through 2019. I tried retirement for about 3 years, and it wasn't for me. So I came out of retirement, and I worked as investigator for the Denton County Sheriff's Office for 2 years, from 2023 to 2025. I've been married to Rebecca since June 21st of 97. I remember. We've been married almost 29 years. She is a 36-year flight attendant for American Airlines. We have one adult son who is a recent graduate of Oklahoma State University. He is a flight instructor working on building his time to become a pilot for a major airline. Appreciate being here.
Well, good evening. My name is Jason Van Dyke, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. I moved to Wise County 5 years ago, and I practice criminal defense in our community. You don't have to boo. What I want to say is we have a lot of great candidates in this race. I have respect for law enforcement, and Wise County owes all of my opponents a great debt of gratitude. But keep this in mind. You wouldn't ask someone in the clerk's office or someone who is a police officer necessarily to step up immediately and be a judge, because everyone knows that there are different roles. A law enforcement officer investigates, a judge interprets the law. I come to this race prepared to serve the people of Wise County on day one. I have 20 years experience practicing law, both civil and criminal, and I want to make sure everyone leaves here knowing that Justice of the Peace does more than just marriages and tickets. It's got a lot of responsibilities, and I'm ready to serve you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you guys for your 1 minute opening. So we'll start with you. And we're gonna switch every time who starts the question, who answers question first. But the first question is, if elected, how would your faith affect your role as Justice of the Peace?
Honestly, my faith wouldn't affect my role because I have to be impartial. I have to, how can I put this? I have to abide the law. And I have to do my job. My religion, that's going to be something separate, and I would not combine those. Even though there's moments it may be tough, but I still got to do my job and abide the law.
Yeah.
So, religion affects everybody. And the way we live by that it affects us how we make the decisions. Everybody makes decisions based off our religion. That makes us some good conservatives, and I plan on obviously you want to separate it to a certain degree, but you are morally you have good morals, and you have to make good decisions based on your good Christian values.
To me, 2 Chronicles 19, verse 7 says, "Let the fear of the Lord be upon you. Beware that the Lord our God shall take no part in any unrighteousness, any, struggling with the next part. It ends by saying that, the Lord will take no part in any unrighteousness and will take no part in any bribe. Well, that's pretty simple right there. That's how to do the job in a nutshell. You can't be bought, you can't be influenced, and you got to do what's right because God said so.
As a judicial candidate, and if elected, I'm going to follow the law, but I'm never going to forget where I came from. My faith guides me in my daily life. I will never forget that everyone that appears before me has basic human dignity, that no two people in those circumstances are the same, that their circumstances might be different from mine. And everyone is going to come to my court if I'm elected knowing they're going to get a fair hearing no matter who they are, and be treated with respect because we're all children of God.
Thank you. Okay, Ed, we'll start with you this time. So the next question is, what would you like the public to know about the JP Court that they may not already understand or know?
So basically, the JP Court, like they do way more than just tickets. Okay, they do inquests is a big part of their job as well. Also, civil litigation. They also deal with juveniles. So there's a lot more into that role than just showing up to the office and paying their ticket or asking the judge to marry was your awake on the red.
I have to agree with what Ed said. In knocking on doors, I've been really surprised at the number of people that do not know what the Justice of the Peace is or does. I guess because I've been in law enforcement all this time, I knew, and I just assumed that most everybody did. But I've been educating people as I can. I've asked a lot of people if they know, and I've really been surprised that a lot of them don't know. But probably the biggest thing that the JP office does in this day and time is they provide over civil courts. Debt purchasing is a big part of what the JP does now. Traffic court is a small part. I think the county attorney's office provides a prosecutor once a month for a few hours, and it says that the county attorney's office shall provide a prosecutor, and there's just very little time to have any traffic court. But, you know, another part is inquest, like Ed said. If someone dies of a questionable death, there needs to be an investigation oftentimes when the cause of death is not known, if it's a child under 6 years old, and several other factors. The JP presides over a lot of eviction situations. There are certain writs that often have to be issued by the judge's office. There's a pretty diverse range of responsibilities by that office that a lot of people do not know about.
I don't disagree with anything my opponent said. Like I said in my opening, this is a very broad office. First of all, with the civil claims that Mr. Hogg talked about, the jurisdictional limit of the Justice of the Peace is $20,000. I don't know about all of you, but that's a lot of money. And you need to have someone in the office that's going to hold people to their burden of proof in court. You've got Class C misdemeanors. Some people think that those are just tickets. Well, someone with an assault by contact family violence could face a lifetime loss of their Second Amendment rights. One of the collateral consequences for driving while licensed invalid can be the loss of your license. And there's other things. They can do occupational driver's licenses. That's about keeping our community safe from people who've been convicted or accused of driving while intoxicated. They can seize and euthanize animals. Most of us, our animals are part of our family under certain circumstances. That's in the Texas Public Health and Safety Code. They can set bail for criminal defendants and set bond conditions. This affects public safety. It's not just marriages and traffic tickets. This is a very important job, and it's extremely broad. Lots of administrative tasks, writs, evictions, other landlord-tenant issues, repair and remedy. If you can encounter the legal system in the state of Texas, it's pretty likely that you're going to encounter it first in the Justice of the Peace Court, and that's why it's just so important.
Good. So with JQ1, it was definitely a learning curve for me. I learned that I agree with all the gentlemen up here. JQ1 does a lot of things, and they do multiple hearings. I learned that the eviction, there's towing hearing, which I learned that a couple of years ago. They do marriages also. And not just that, they also do emergency protective orders, which I learned that too, which I didn't know. JQ1 is very broad, surprisingly, and they do not do penal code, for those that don't know that. And it's something that's you cannot learn within the day. For me, I learned that it's going to take me a couple months to learn everything, because it's not something that can be taught. It's a hands-up kind of, if you know the words, for sure. And JP1 surprisingly does a lot of work, and it was an eye-opening what they can do for everybody. And they also help out citizens. For those that are unable to pay for tickets, you can just got to call it in and see in what way they can help you, which was done, I believe was more than 10 years ago, the state implemented that. For those that are unable to pay for their tickets, like they were saying, the gentleman, it's not just tickets only.
We'll start with Mr. Bob now. So the next question is, what qualifications or experience do you have that prepares you to preside over a J-Midi court?
Well, for a big part of my career, I practiced on the other side of the bench from the Justice of the Peaks. I have made hundreds of arrests in this county, put all the defendants in the Wise County Jail. There is an affidavit that must be completed so that the Justice of the Peace is able to review the defendant's criminal history, to properly identify them, to advise them what they've been charged with, to make certain that they understand their rights, and to set bail conditions. I have prepared those affidavits. I understand what's required to be within them. That's a big part of what the judge does. Getting called out in the middle of the night for an inquest, first of all, getting called out in the middle of the night or nights, weekends, and holidays is not for everyone. And I spent most of my career with the DPS being on call, so being called out is nothing that I'm not used to. Being around crime scenes or fatal accident scenes with dead bodies is not for everyone, and I've been around all that. I have filed thousands of traffic cases in this county and participated in courtroom testimony. I understand what the process is like. I'm probably the oldest candidate here amongst the four. So I have life experiences, I think, probably that some of the rest of them may not have. I have the work ethic of someone my age, as you would expect. I have, just like a justice of peace, a peace officer in this state is required to have so many hours of training every year. I've had 4,044 hours of training in my life. She's cut me off, so I'm gonna stop.
I've been licensed to practice law in Texas for almost 19 years. I'll be celebrating my 19th anniversary practicing law February 7th. I'm also licensed to practice law in Colorado, Georgia, and the District of Columbia. I'm licensed to practice before the United States Supreme Court, the 5th, 6th, and 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, and federal courts throughout Texas, as well as some in Ohio, North Dakota, and Michigan. This is what I've done my entire career. It is a different role than I'm used to, probably. I've been a defense attorney. I see some of my opponents, courtroom opponents here tonight. We're blessed in Wise County to have some very solid and ethical prosecutors, but I know that this is going to be a different job. I've done criminal defense most of my career. I'm familiar with bond hearings, but I've also done civil. I got my start working for a factoring company doing debt collection, and that is a majority of the civil cases that get filed. And I've worked both sides. I've represented small businesses like some of you might own, trying to collect money from debtors. And I've represented debtors who are being targeted by these out-of-town debt buyers who oftentimes come to court with flimsy evidence and can't prove their case, and they're looking for a judgment that could result in your bank account being emptied. I've been there, I've done that, and I'm going to be ready to deal with it on day one.
My qualifications would be me the last 2 years working with the DPS. So I had the privilege of seeing Judge Amaro working at the jail. Get to see her working at work. Also with the traffic, going to court for traffic violations. And then in that aspect, what's going on currently, I got to see that part in that way. Other than that, with my job, patience for one. Working in corrections, another thing, being patient, because you got to be patient. Because there's going to be people coming in who are agitated, not just for tickets. It could be for an eviction or a toll hearing, for any number of reasons. And I could be patient with people, and we could come to a compromise if they need to. Thank you.
So for that, I worked for the courts for over a decade. I've worked with many judges, many clerks, so I had that experience before coming to Wise County. When we moved here, Sherry Lemon hired me in her court department where I met Blanca. And since Blanca's been the county clerk, she promoted me to the vitals registrar. So I've been in charge with birth certificates, death certificates, marriage licenses. So I know what the process is like, and I know what it takes. I have experience dealing with all kinds of people. So with us here at the clerk's office, for the most part, people are happy to be there. They be there, just had a child, so they're going to get their birth certificate. They just paid off their house, so they're going to record a release. But with the ports, you always get a lot of people that don't want to be here for the same reason that they don't want to be spending their money paying for a ticket. So I had that experience. Also, last month, I was at a training in Austin for our files. And we had a representative from Texas Justice Court Center. And she stated that the people that slide into the bowl of justice of the peace more seamlessly are the people that work in the clerk's office.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Van Dyke. So the next question is, JP courts often deal with sensitive matters like evictions, truancy, and minor offenses. How do you balance compassion with enforcing the law?
Every case is different. It would be unethical for me to get up here and say, all right, if someone commits this offense, this is how they're going to be punished under the law. That's part of the reason we have hearings. It's part of the reason we have trials. I have to get to know the defendant. They're going to be either representing themselves or represented through counsel. And, I'm going to hear, and the jury's going to hear if they elect a jury trial. I'm going to hear their circumstances, what's going on in their life. A lot of stuff comes in when you talk about punishment and these type of things. And I'm going to enforce the law. But I'm going to give everyone a fair hearing, and if a punishment needs to be assessed, then I'm going to assess one that I think is fair and just under the circumstances. And I'll tell you what, if the state doesn't meet its burden of proof to prove these things beyond a reasonable doubt, as the case may be, they're going to walk out of there as well. I'm not afraid to do either one.
So in that aspect, like he was stated, it is a case by case. There's moments where, especially like an eviction hearing, if they've already been, let's say there was continuance and they weren't able to resolve with their landlord, sometimes the landlord and the tenant can resolve it between them. If they can, then we can have a dismissal, close it up basically. But there are moments where sometimes a continuance is not a bad thing. It just depends on the situation. It is a case by case. Same thing with juveniles. First offenses, I understand people, you have to buy the law. But again, you got to go by their records, if they have the record. Because sometimes first offense, we don't have to punish them that harshly. And with juveniles, they're kids. Sometimes we need to do, depending on the case itself, the punishment doesn't have to be that severe.
I agree it's on a case-by-case basis. And obviously, criminal record has a big part to do with that. So you wouldn't judge somebody as harshly with their first offense than somebody that's done this same thing over and over and over. So like I said, it's just a good judgment and common sense.
Pretty ironic question for me, because the last sentence of the middle paragraph on my campaign material literally says, if elected, I intend to be firm but fair, yet open-minded and empathetic. And that's it. It's been said by all the candidates that you cannot judge every case the same way because circumstances are different, people are different. You must have empathy. You must often put yourself in someone's shoes. You can't rule with an iron gavel, and it's not a cookie cutter type job.
We'll start back with you. So the next one is, how will you ensure you are knowledgeable about Texas law and court procedures, given that JPs are not required to be an attorney?
Well, JP actually takes courses. They themselves do have to update themselves on learning. Because it's, for one, evictions has changed. It started January 2nd. So even though I believe it's not mandatory. However, they can't do the job if they don't know the update of the laws. And laws change every year. They really do. So for them not to go out of their way, take things there. Plus, and also they got to take, I believe it's 80 hours per year, or the first year. You have to go and learn not just your job, but also the law itself and what you have to do in that office.
So like she said, JPs are required to take 80 hours in the first year of training. So I intend to hit the ground running. Obviously, there's continuing education that you have to do. So you just have to keep up with the laws, all the changes. The law changes every day. And you just have to do your work and be diligent and study it.
Read that one more time for me.
So it says, how will you ensure you are knowledgeable about Texas law and court procedures, given that JPs are not required to be an attorney?
As it's been said, JBs have to have 80 hours of training in the first year and 20 every year after that. I've done that my whole career, and occasionally there are case laws that will have some bearing on the job, but conferring with the other JPs that I'm friends with now and other JPs that I hope to be friends with in the future if elected, that's the way you keep up. It's been the same way in police work. You just have to stay on top of things. You can do research on your own. The internet is your friend, as we all know. So I really don't have anything past that to add, other than everybody's pretty much said the same things.
In addition to the education I had, I'd like to think I'm already somewhat knowledgeable, but I'm always proven wrong by that. Every day I learn something new about the law. I've been taking continuing legal education courses as an attorney my entire career. We have to take 15 hours. I'm typically going to the advanced criminal law course or the creditor's rights course, taking more than that. Obviously, there's the 80 hours plus 20 more each year the other candidates talked about. As an attorney, I'm blessed to get the Texas Bar Journal. I hope that if I do not prevail, that the other candidates had access to the Bar Journal, because that has a lot of the updates on the rules of civil procedure. There's a special set of rules that apply to the justice courts. As was mentioned, the eviction rules have just changed. Rules for expunctions, which justices of the peace can hear under limited circumstances, are changing all the time. You have to keep up with it. It's a hard job. You can even, what's really nice, so you can even get some books by a company called O'Connor's. Now, some people look at attorneys and remember, and then they look at us and they think, well, how do you remember all that law? Well, we don't. We're human beings. We've got a book. We pull a book off the shelf and we look it up. And you have to know how to apply that to the situation. You have to know how to read case law. You have to know how to find case law. And you have to be able to think like a lawyer. That's what I intend to do.
Okay, so this one says, how will you, oh, no, that one. What is your view on alternatives to fines, or jail time for low-level offenses?
Can you?
Yeah. What is your view on alternatives to fines or jail time for low-level offenses?
Low-level offenses, I think it's a good option to have something other than jail. Usually when it's a low level, it can be your first offense. So, like I said before, you shouldn't punish them so harshly, especially with something that's low level. Again, if they had that same offense multiple times, then that's when you can use your discretion.
I'm open to the idea for Class C misdemeanors, the lowest level offense that JP would preside over. I'm open to it, but it should be managed and supervised. And like Ed was saying, for someone that's a repeat offender, it might not be a good option.
And I don't necessarily disagree with any of the other candidates have said. We'd be hearing Class C misdemeanors, which is the lowest level offense. I have negotiated agreements on behalf of a number of clients for pretrial diversion type programs, which involve classes, community service, counseling at times, depending on the situation, if it's appropriate. I've negotiated that with our county attorney's office and our district attorney's office before. I've seen it do very good things in people's lives, and sometimes I see it doesn't work, and now when it doesn't work, they get punished. That's what happens. I'm a believer in second chances. I'm going to be a believer in second chances as justice of the peace, but as the other candidates it's mentioned tonight, that someone who's been there a whole bunch of times, in that case, it's probably time for punishment. But first-time offender, low-level offense, I think there's some benefit to making it an educational experience.
So those low-level offenses, it just depends. Let's say if there was expired tag, you can also get that deferred. You can even get that ticket dismissed if you go and just re-register the sticker. And also, even with speeding tickets, you can have that deferred. You can go take a class online, and it doesn't show on your record as a speeding ticket. So there are some tickets that can be deferred. Not all, some. Even insurance, if you could show proof, and then the office would call the insurance company, just kind of verify that it is active. Again, some tickets are dismissible, and there are others that just can't, especially if it's a repeater, tickets that you can start low, because there's a price range. Even under the law, there's a price range where how much you can fine them, and like he stated earlier, it's just up to the JP discretion. And it all comes down to the judge on that part. But again, everybody has, you can have it deferred. That's just something you could talk to you can fight the ticket and let them know, hey, I'd like to know if I can work something out, and then go from there.
Okay, that was our final question, so thank you for answering those. And now it is you get a closing statement. You can start, yeah.
So this is all new to me, and I appreciate y'all coming in, listening to our answers, and y'all will vote whoever y'all believe is best. And I appreciate for those that do vote for me, thank you. Again, this is an honor just to come up here, talk to y'all, thank y'all that listen to me, and I hope that you hear everything about us, and also learn. So if y'all push us to ask me or want to get to know me, I have a table out there with my business card with my personal number on there. I have no issues to let you know how I am or who I am. And that's about it. Thank y'all.
Well, again, I just want to thank you for putting this event on. It's an experience, and as you can tell, I'm not very good at public speaking. We got through it. And I just wanted to thank everybody, and especially thank my clerk's office group. Thank you for the support, and I hope to get your bone.
The Office of Justice of Peace offers a unique opportunity for public service, and that's been my life for 37 years, all of my career. It also has a diverse range of legal responsibilities, and it's a chance to serve the public as a trusted local official. Justice of Peace must have the utmost integrity. They must conduct themselves at all times with I knew I'd have a gap. They must conduct themselves at all times with the utmost in honor, ethical practices, and if elected to this position, I intend to implement professionalism, integrity, I did this so good today. I was so proud of myself. I intend to conduct myself with integrity, sound judgment, critical thinking skills, professionalism, and as I have said before, if elected, I intend to be firm but fair and also to be open-minded and empathetic. I encourage everyone to be an informed voter and learn all you can. Thank you.
I really hope the voters of Wise County give me the opportunity to bring my nearly 20 years of legal experience to this office. I'm going to work as hard as I can for you. I wake up early and I go to bed late, and I'm ready for the late night phone calls because I know that the Constitution does not take a day off. It does not take a night off. I'm ready to enter this office and hit the ground running from day one and go to work for you. My name is Jason Van Dyke. I ask for your vote. God bless Wise County, God bless Texas, and God bless America. Thank you. Good night.
Well, thank you so much for answering the questions, and if we can give a round of applause again for them. Justice of the Peace Precinct 10. Thank you, that was so